Good afternoon, folks, and we are a little delayed. We apologize for the three committee hearings on the hearing notice of Tuesday, March 24th, the committees on Transportation, Energy and Intergovernmental Affairs, the Committee on Energy, and it's at the 3 p.m. agenda. However, it's 3:21. We will also want to remind those that will be testifying that we will allow 1 minute for this particular session, and that decision-making will follow on this one agenda item. So with that said, HB 2033, House Draft 2, relating to transportation, and it's a long part one. I will just summarize in saying that this is an omnibus bill with the many parts on it, and most of you are here that know and understand what's on it. It also requires sellers and the licensed dealers to ensure that the motor vehicle is equipped with a front number plate mounting bracket and device. It also talks about the number plates on vehicles. It also on part 3 talks about the speed enforcement systems program, and it's parts 4 that allows the counties for the license plate, and part 5 it calls upon cameras. Okay, let's proceed then with testifiers before us as well. Okay, transportation, DOT.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, standing lead, DOT, we stand on our written testimony in strong support.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Attorney General.
Good afternoon,
Good
chairs,
afternoon.
vice chairs, and members of the committee. Deputy Attorney General Marky Lau here. Our department has submitted written testimony providing comments on this bill. Our testimony includes attachment 1, which sets forth our suggested replacement wording for parts 4 and 5 of the bill. Part 4 of the bill addresses an automatic license plate recognition system, and part 5 of the bill addresses a school bus infraction detection system. We understand that both of these proposed systems contemplate using technology devices similar to what is currently used under Chapter 291J, which addresses photo red light imaging detectors, and 291L, which addresses automated speed enforcement systems, such that certain provisions from those chapters could support proper implementation and enforcement of these new systems. Attachment 1 suggested replacement wording provides for these new systems with the additional provisions to support their implementation and enforcement. I'm available for questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
And let me say that Attorney General's office, thank you so much for helping us to review this bill. And, you know, it's sort of, as we look into it, you know, there's some flaws in certain areas, the penalties, there was none. And I really appreciate the help and that we do have a proposed SD1. But I must commend you folks for helping us with this measure. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Department of Education, Keith Hayashi.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, Shaka Jima, testify on behalf of the Department of Education. Department stands on everything testimony in support of this bill.
Okay, thank you. Judiciary, Michelle Acosta on Zoom.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Michelle Costa here on behalf of the judiciary. We stand on our written testimony with comments, and I'll be available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And on Zoom, we do have Nikos Leverance. Aloha.
Aloha chairs, vice chair members, Nikos Leverance testifying in my own capacity. I'm offering comments on this bill. I know that the train has already left the station, and I'm just very concerned that about the proposed statutory language in Part 4. Statutory language must be more exacting so that those in the executive branch and its contractors have clear parameters that reflect our state's abiding commitment to individual liberties against government overreach. ALPR data has already been used by law enforcement on the continent to exact punishment on those from vulnerable populations, including women seeking needed reproductive health care services and those who are migrants. In contrast to the broadly permissive approach taken in this bill, the Washington legislature recently sent SB 6002, the Driver Privacy Act, to Governor Ferguson's desk. The bill provides express specific restrictions on the use of data and where such data may not be collected. The bill also restricts the ability of vendors to skirt public oversight and accountability by mandating that they provide government with technical controls and expressly preventing the selling, leasing, or renting of data or allowing access to non-authorized agencies. Half a century ago, Hawaii was at the forefront of protecting the privacy interests of individuals against state intrusion, including a provision in our Constitution expressly acknowledging a right to privacy. So I'm very hopeful that policymakers will consider putting in some parameters and some guardrails to preserve our larger privacy interests. Mahalo for the opportunity to provide testimony.
Nikos, did you have a chance to look at the SD1 as proposed by the Attorney General?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay, I think.
I can provide feedback on that, but yeah,
Right.
I'm hopeful.
If you can go online, you'll find it as well, but I think it has been pretty much covered, and the concerns that you raised as well.
Mahalo.
Okay, you can look at it. All right, Department of Customer Services, City and County of Honolulu.
Hi, good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Megan Johnson on behalf of Department of Customer Services, City and County of Honolulu. We stand on our written testimony in support of this measure.
Okay, thank you. Advocates for Highway and Oahu, Auto Safety. Okay, sends communication in support. AMPO. In support as well. Kristen Ito. In support. Nicholas Wong, Rex Katahara, and Kenneth Hsu. All in support. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on HB 2033? Okay, hearing none. Members, we have communicated with the chairs as well with an amendment to the measure. And we will not go into recess. The chairs have confirmed that we will be making decisions on this measure. So the chair's recommendation on this HB 2033 relating to transportation, the chair's recommendation is to go with the Attorney General's SD1 as proposed. And also we'd like to add that with regards to the mobile vehicle safety inspection, we would like to add the language requiring that DOT must adopt rules allowing for motor vehicle safety inspection for passenger cars, and also with technical and non-substantive amendments. Any discussions?
Yeah, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
yes, Senator, yes, Chair.
Can we amend further to get rid of the safety check system?
Okay, another day. We've dealt with this. Yes, we've dealt this with before, but I'm sure we'll do something next year. Thank you, Chair. Okay, for the
I'm just
committee.
trying, yeah.
Okay, I know. And we also added at one time, let's go 2 years. Okay, so the chair's recommendation is to pass the measure with amendments for the Committee on Transportation. And HB 2033 House Draft 2 is to pass with amendments. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 2033, House Draft 2 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Lee. Senator DeCourt is excused. Madam Chair, recommendation is
Thank
adopted.
you.
For members of EIG, same recommendation. Any discussion? If not, Senator Chang, I vote yes.
Chair's recommendation for House Bill 2033 is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Senator Coit.
Aye.
Senator Richards is excused. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Okay, and for the Chair, Committee on Education, same recommendation to amend HB 2033, House Draft 2, to a amendments as stated by the Transportation Chair. Any discussion, members? Hearing none, Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Fukunaga, excuse, Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator DeCoy, excuse, motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes then the three committees, Committee on Transportation, Energy and Intergovernmental Affairs, and the Committee on Education.
Thank you for your patience. We're convening our joint committee with the Committee on Energy and Energy and Intergovernmental Affairs and our friends in the Committee on Transportation on this March 24th. We're on the 301 agenda in room 229. We have one measure on this agenda, that is House Bill 2022 HD1 relating to motor vehicle registration. On our testifiers list, we have the Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We'll stand on our written comments and be available for questions.
Thank you, Tom. Tina Yamaki from the Hawaii Transportation Association. Members has submitted testimony in opposition. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2022? Oh, no.
Sorry, Chair, we have
there's
Tina Yamaki on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Tina.
I apologize for not being there in person, but I am on Zoom. I'm Tina Yamaki with the Hawaii Transportation Association, and we stand on our written testimony. We do want to point out that this is going to be a substantial increase in operations for a lot of our mom and pop businesses and all businesses in general. And what's going to happen is they're going to pass that on to their customers, which is the retailers, and the retailers will pass that on to the consumers. So prices will go up possibly because of this. Mahalo.
Thank you, Tina. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2022? Please step forward.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Megan Johnson, on behalf of Department of Customer Services, City and County of Honolulu. We stand on our written testimony respectfully opposing this measure.
Thank you, Megan. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, members, any questions?
Did you mention the Hawaii County Center Communication, Mayor?
Yeah, the members have the testifiers' testimony. The county of the Big Island County has submitted testimony in opposition, as well as Johnny May Perry has submitted commentary. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, members, any questions? Megan?
Thank you, Chair. So just what this bill is saying, so each island have a different pay rate. So
Correct.
Reason why I know that is so fortunate that I had my car registered in Hilo, and it was almost 50% or more less. And then we still yet to this day, maybe you have can be clarified clear to us. We pay this weight tax and this road tax to fix our roads. How much money is spent every year on fixing these roads? Because it doesn't seem to get, I mean, not knocking you, but I'm just saying, not seem to be getting anything done. And the neighbor islands seem to get a gist on their roads in repairs, and especially like with Hilo, we get a lot of rain, but it doesn't seem to have as much potholes in the county as much we have in Honolulu. So again, I just, it doesn't match up for me that we're paying so high, almost double in weight tax on Oahu, and then the neighbor islands is not as much, but they get the same job done on a larger scale, because Hilo, if you know the roads, is long. And we don't have as much potholes in Hilo as we have in Oahu on a shorter distance of road. So can you give us, like, maybe, I don't know if you have the numbers, but can you tell us how is that money being spent and why is Oahu so much higher than the neighbor islands?
Thank you, Senator Favela, for the question. I actually have with me our Division of Motor Vehicle Program Administrator,
Okay.
and I think that he would be able to provide more
thank you very much.
information.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, committee members. William Trujillo, the Division of Motor Vehicles Program Administrator for the City and County of Honolulu. Senator, thank you for your questioning, and I 100% agree. I recently moved from Kauai, and so I understand the price differences between neighbor islands and Oahu and how it plays out, and how it affects everybody. In terms of how much is spent on roads and what is done, we don't have that with us right now. We can definitely respond to that and provide better information about where the funds go to. For the counties, we can say that the funds are put into general funds for sure, and how each administration and county spends those funds is, as you know, under their purview. But yes, I agree that each county has their own funding and has their own way of administering it.
So the vehicle tax that they collect for the county goes into a general fund?
For the city and county of Honolulu, for sure, and I can triple check with the other counties, but I believe it's the same.
Okay, so I don't know, it's the first time I'm hearing this, so forgive me for my ignorance, but I always thought it was mainly for specified road repairs and road conditions and roads. So we put this in general fund. That means if they like take majority of the funds, they'll put $1 in the road and $100 someplace else, there's nothing we can do.
I can't speak to that, but
Okay,
in
no,
general,
the reason why I'm
that's it.
asking this is because, again, in Honolulu, the last 5 years, our weight tax increase tripled more than any other neighbor island in the last 5 years. And I can go on and on. I got rid of a vehicle because it was gonna cost me almost $1,000 to register them in Oahu. Same vehicle that I bought, of course, the vehicle is 20 years old. Same vehicle about 20 years ago went up 3 times the price. So that I couldn't afford it, and I just got rid of the car. But again, I just want to know how the community out there, people like me, don't know how is it justified that we can continue to hike up the registration on Oahu to justify our roads, but then we don't see the condition as we see on the maintenance that we have on the neighbor islands and how well repaired some of the roads. Maybe not all, but the ones I drove on was well repaired. So I just want to know how we can figure this out so the community can know where is this, you said the funds going, but the statistics, why is it the increase constantly going up and up? Do the city has a special fund that they want this to raise so they can go in general fund and continue to rake it? I don't know, you don't need to answer that, but can you just at least find out why the thing is so lopsided?
No, in terms of between the counties?
Yeah,
Yes, I
appreciate it.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for being here as well for the city and county. So with that said, is there any ordinances that was created by the county here to create a special fund or fund for road fixing?
I'm not aware of anything that flags or earmarks funds for roads.
Okay. Okay, then Senator Pavella, just to add why the mayor of the county of Hawaii has sent testimony against this measure is because in the 1980s, I was on the county council at that time, we created an ordinance that part of the gas tax goes into a special fund for road fixing. And so it has been ongoing, and so for each council district, there's a plan of how much of that fund goes to the different districts so that the council chair, the council member then can decide to speak with the administration what roads that they would want to fix immediately in their districts. So we do have a process, and that's why our mayor has objected to this measure as well. Senator Elefante.
Thank you so much. Administrator Trujillo.
Yeah.
So a few questions for you. Currently now, what's the annual fee at the city and county of Honolulu? Is it 46?
So within the motor vehicle registration, there are different pieces to it. So in terms of the weight tax, in Honolulu, it's 7 cents per pound. In terms of the annual registration fee, it is, and I don't want to misspeak on it, is 20 on the county side.
County side
Yeah,
for 20.
and then and for the state fee, it's $40. And sorry, going back to Senator Inoi's comment about was there any earmarked funds in the registration? There's also a highway beautification fund for for the city, and for the city, it recently went up to $10 per vehicle annually.
So my understanding, being that I came from the county council before, is that the fees cannot be more than what it actually costs to process the permit application. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're in opposition to it because this would impact revenues collected and how you do operations.
Correct. Yes, if I may.
Yes.
Yes, 100% correct. We have concerns that, so annually right now for the state, the per pound is less than 2 cents per pound for the state weight fee for a regular passenger vehicle. Currently in the city and county of Honolulu, it's 7 cents. So if this passed, immediately it would have to go down to the 2 cents, and that would be a
That would
drop
be
in.
an impact to
that'd be
your funding.
Yeah, and that is what we're concerned about, if that's the way that this
Okay,
bill
understood.
goes.
Thank you,
No,
Administrator.
thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for the
Chairs.
opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Yeah.
I just got a follow-up. I don't understand what you're saying about the revenue cost, yeah. But our land tax goes up every year. A portion of the land tax supposed to be helping with beautification and other things, our ENV for our trash pickup and everything. So as that soars in the air, area, soars in the area, how is it not possible that you guys cannot, not you, but I mean, in general, how can they not be able to budget, I rephrase, I know why, because they got on pay raise at the city council and the mayor. Okay, now I understand. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator.
Any further questions? I have a question. So I talked to the author of this measure, and he expressed frustration because you couldn't answer the earlier question from Senator Favela about how much money is brought in, how much is itemized in all of your expenditures. Every other county except Honolulu is able to provide that. So that's what this bill tries to get at, is to hold the city and county of Honolulu accountable, which you're not. You have no idea. The money goes into a black hole, you get whatever the city allows you to get, and then that's how you function. That needs to be fixed. And that's what this bill does. Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Okay, we're going to take a brief recess before making decisions.
Thank you.
We're reconvening the joint committees between the Committee on Energy and Intergovernmental Affairs and our friends from the Committee on Transportation for decision-making. The two chairs have conferred. We're going to make a few substantive amendments to this measure. Being that only the City County of Honolulu seems to be rogue on how it budgets for our roads, we are only going to allow this bill to apply to the City and County of Honolulu. On page 6, we are going to specify the annual report shall be submitted no later than 20 days prior to the convening of each regular session and make technical, non-substantive amendments. Any discussion? If not, Senator Chang, I vote yes.
Chair's recommendation on HB 2022 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes yes, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Coit?
Aye.
Senator Richards is excused. Senator Favela?
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Okay. Thank you. For the Committee on Transportation, same recommendations to pass HB 2022, House Draft 1 with amendments. Any discussions for the Committee on Transportation? I do want to add, though, for my personal views, I'm not one to raise taxes or to raise fees as well. I will, however, in this particular case, because I think we're already specifying that the fees will be taken out of a certain part of a registration and not an additional increase. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, Vice Chair for the vote, recommendation is to pass with amendments.
Chair, just
Chair-
if I may,
Chair-
for
Chair
discussion.
goes aye. Yes, Senator Elefante.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know from the City and County of Honolulu what that data is in terms of what your annual revenue is and how you use that fees. So that would be helpful as this bill continues to progress along the process. Thank you.
Okay. So for the vote, by Vice Chair,
With
can't
amendments.
remember his name, Brandon Elefante. We have many of us. Yes, Chair goes aye.
Yes,
Aye.
not Stanley Chang. Okay.
Yes, not Stanley
I've got that too. Okay. Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 2022 House Draft 1 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Senator Kanuha. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator DeCourt.
Aye.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. See what happens with a day like today?
We're adjourned.
Good afternoon. The Committee on Transportation on its hearing notice at 3:02. And just to confirm, it's 3:48 p.m. on its agenda, on its hearing notice of March 22nd, and this is Tuesday. And just for confirmation, today we do have at least 7 items, so we're going to at least limit the oral testimony to 1 minute, which normally I am pretty good about the 2 minutes, but time is of the essence today, and decision-making will follow this agenda as well. We'll proceed with HB 1524, House Draft 2, and this is relating to pedestrians. This establishes that fines for pedestrian violations under Chapter 291C HRS shall not exceed $25. It requires state and county agencies to revise applicable schedules of fines, rules, and procedures to comply with the monetary limit. Okay. DOT.
Aloha, Chair and Vice Chair, Senator Lee Tammy, on behalf of the DOT, we stand on our written testimony, providing comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Department of Health on Zoom.
Oh, hello, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Heidi Hansen-Smith for the Department of Health. The department's going to stand on its testimony with comments, providing comments on the potential public health impacts of this measure. And we'll be here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Judiciary? Let's see, sends communication with comments. Appleseed, Hawai'i Appleseed Center for Law and Criminal and Economic Justice. Malia, good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Malia Boksansky, testifying on behalf of Hawai'i Appleseed in support of this measure. We believe current pedestrian fines are overly excessive and really vastly disproportionate to the action at hand. For example, the fines and fees for crossing the street in an outside of a marked crosswalk, that is $130. In comparison, speeding on Oahu, which is much more of a public safety threat, those fines start at $62. Many people, especially those who don't own a car and rely on walking, really cannot afford these steep fines. If left unpaid, these tickets can cascade into large consequences of debt collection, damaged credit, and court involvement. So we believe this bill is really taking the right step to mitigate the harms caused by our currently excessive pedestrian fines. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
I just have, did you have a chance to see the communication testimony from DOT? And they raised, some concerns with regards to the $25, and they have data that shows that they've been significant jaywalkers as well as casualties on this measure. So just a little concerning of the low rate, the lowest to $25. How do you feel about that though? Because they have the data and they're the ones that are upfront about ensuring that, pedestrians are safe as well.
Yeah, I think for Hawai'i Appleseed, of course, public safety and pedestrian safety is a big concern for us. We also recognize that a lot of people who walk, it is out of necessity. People may not have access to a car to get around. So for people receiving pedestrian fines like this, we just think putting that barrier of these fines, $130 is a lot of money, especially when compared to fines for people who are driving, like speeding. We just think lowering that amount is really the right step.
Yeah, something brought to mind this morning. I live in Chinatown. It was very interesting at Mauna Kea, right across of the Chinese Cultural Plaza garage. And lo and behold, I saw many police cars, but it was an incident not related to any jaywalkers. But the police cars were down near below the entry to the cultural center garage. But in the meantime, all our neighbors from the other condominiums were all crossing over, just jaywalking, and I was kind of like surprised because there's no enforcement. And so that was kind of sad that, you know, we continue to have this. But since you're here, members, any questions for Appleseed? Yes, Senator Lee.
Thanks. Just I have two questions. One, speaking on the data, Department of Health's testimony notes that laws criminalizing pedestrians are ineffective at producing roadway safety results, and then cites stats from Virginia, Kansas City, Denver, California, and others, California in particular, where after changing the law, traffic fatalities actually decreased by 13%, after having lowered ticket prices, and everything else showed no change. Is that like a universal thing? Are there other, is that just sort of like a focus on a couple key places?
I'm not familiar, so I can definitely.
Well, let me ask you this way.
Okay.
Massachusetts has fines for these same jaywalking kinds of things set at $1. And if you're a repeat offender, they get really harsh and they double the fine. But clearly, they have rates, I mean, better than us. So who's right here?
Yeah, I think at Hawai'i Appleseed, I think $25 is something that makes sense to us. And I mean, just to be clear, I think enforcement is important. I don't think our stance on this is let's reduce enforcement. I think it's just reducing that like financial like barrier and burden that puts on people.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, yes, thank you. Hawai'i Bicycling League, Eduardo is pretty much always here in person, sends communication in support. How about AMPO, sends communication in support, ACLU as well, and the support from William Caron, Jonathan Hoon, and Jonathan Lott. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to 1524? Okay, otherwise we'll, oh yes, Senator.
Sorry, question for DOT, Deputy Director Lee. Thank you, Madam Chair. Currently now, the fine is $100.
Let me double check. I think it's based, I don't know.
Okay.
I think Toby or Lee, I think you're on. Do you know what the current fine is?
This is Carrie, in from Department of Transportation. The fine actually ranges, the fine ranges from 130 to and up, depending on the jurisdiction. So certain counties have different rates.
Okay. And then one last question is, I know a big piece is the enforcement side to deter violators from doing that, and I can understand the advocates for the bill. But has DOT looked at maybe messaging or public service announcements, PSA, to make more people aware of jaywalking or, you know, crossing the street in that sense? That's something to consider.
Yeah, Carrie, I don't know if you know or are familiar with the attitudinal surveys, or I know that we do a lot of procuring PSAs through movie theaters and on the radio, outreaching to University of Hawaii. Is this one of the subjects that we do outreach on?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do ask in our behavioral survey, which I'm glad you brought up, is just how far people are willing to walk to a designated crossing, which is important to kind of understand like the path of least resistance. And it shows that actually most people are willing to go to the appropriate spot when surveyed. So that's like the majority, meaning more than 60%. So we want to encourage everybody to use the safest crossing possible. I think that's, you know, putting in a positive light rather than just always saying, this is the fine, this is the penalty, but encouraging people to make the right decision because it's how the road is designed to keep them safe. But we are working on something like that right now. But we're just, you know, PSAs are, they take a little while to produce and get approval. So we're hopefully we'll have something aired by Pedestrian Safety Month this year.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I do want to say one plug. For our interns, we're actually creating projects to help us with some social media reels. I know that we're not allowed to go on TikTok, but to do just a lot of safety messaging to reach different populations, in addition to the public service announcements.
Thank you, Deputy Director Lee. Thank you, Carrie.
In one of the testimonies, it seems like the prices for jaywalking is between 130 and 180, and it's more than the speeding on the red light, which is about what, $60-something. So there's a big gap between jaywalking and other fines currently. So I can tend to agree. It's pretty high. If you're paying over $100 for jaywalking, it's a notification. But apparently, that's why this measure is before us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Just-
Senator, yes,
Thanks,
Senator
Tammy,
Lee.
while you're here.
Yes.
I think part of the frustration, I think, in a prior hearing on this issue that came up, as I recall earlier, was a lot of the places that we have here in Hawaii aren't designed for pedestrians. And I know DOT's been making great strides to try and change that, and obviously it's not going to be overnight. But in cases, like for example, we brought this up, I don't know, a couple of years ago when it happened, but on Vineyard and Queen, right as you're crossing to like the Pacific Club from here,
Okay.
right? It was like four-way crosswalks, and then DOT pulled one of them out. So if you're walking from the Capitol to the Pacific Club now, you have to cross 3 different times rather than just once. And in those cases, you still see a lot of people now running across the street because, I mean, the wait at that light is it's like 5 minutes, right, in between like all the different turn signals, cycles, and all that stuff. And so how do we fix situations like that where the projects that are being done actually make it both more difficult for pedestrians and to some extent more dangerous because you now have 3 times the exposure to getting hit by a car, while at the same time then, you know, with this situation having like harsh penalties that, especially for people who can't afford it, it means basically like, do you take your life into your hands or do you end up paying?
Right.
How do we fix that?
So I don't know that particular intersection, whether it was an engineering survey that maybe, I mean, I think sometimes when signal crosswalks are dangerous, maybe that's why. I don't know that particular one, but I can get back to you. But I'm sorry, what is the question?
Another thing, I was just making a point that that's dangerous.
Oh, okay.
Jade
Yeah.
had said at a public presentation that it was probably not in pedestrians' interests and was not, I guess, best practice. So anyway, I raised that as sort of the example to note that these kinds of situations, like some people are like forced into it and they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so if we're gonna like, how do we create a pathway where people can still reasonably get around without having to face the specter of tons and tons of fines?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, particularly where they're, now we're creating a lot more affordable apartments, rentals, affordable housing where we increase population in certain blocks. As an example, what I just talked about with the affordable housing within Chinatown, up to, as an example, the area I talked about was Baritania and Mauna Kea. And then if you're going the other way up to Vineyard, the next the next pedestrian crosswalk is on Kukui. So because of the nature of those living in the area, which are more Asian, affordable housing, I see it every day, but maybe add another crosswalk right where in between the 2 intersections, that there is the ability for them to learn that they must use a crosswalk. So, add that, and also we have to, and unfortunately, city and county the counties are involved with the traffic light management system that we, the state DOT, pays for. But sometimes the lights are gotta be in sync as well.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone wishing to speak to HB 1524 is here. So we'll say aloha and we'll go to HB 1688. And this is relating to the general excise tax exemption for aircraft maintenance as well. And we got Department of Taxation. Thank you for bearing with us today.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Garrison Kirk, Department of Taxation. We'll stand on our written testimony, written comments, and I'm here if you have questions.
And thank you for being here when we heard the Senate version as well. Appreciate it. Tax Foundation of Hawaii, aloha Tom, good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamashika from Tax Foundation. We have submitted written comments. We'll stand on those and be available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members, Jacob Aquino on behalf of Alaska Hawaiian Airlines. We'll stand on a written testimony in strong support, and we are here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Kohala Coast Resort Association in support, Chamber of Commerce in support, and we got testifying for activities and attractions, Association of Hawaii, Antoinette Davis in support, comments from Johnny May Perry, and in opposition, Theodore Metros. Is there anyone else wishes to speak on HB 1688? Aloha.
I'm Theodore Metros.
Oh, aloha.
Hi.
Thank you for your patience as well today.
Sure. I just wanted to say that this is a special exemption that I don't believe is any longer needed. I mean, we're talking about losing our income tax deductions. We're talking about raising our wages for cars. This tax exemption is really unnecessary at this point. Why are they getting this special treatment? There's ample opportunity to tax them. This is a locked-in market. The justification for doing this taxation has long since passed. This is actually an area where the state has the ability to collect some revenues rather than trying to tap all these new venues. The airlines oppose the taxation, and yet they are first in line to ask for tax credits for sustainable aviation fuel, costing hundreds of millions of dollars, but they don't want to cover their own business operation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your attendance. I can speak to some consideration for support for the airlines, and just to let you know as well, in Hawaii, pretty much I think Hawaiian Airlines, when they built the construction facility for maintaining their aircraft, at that time, we talked about the state DOT and airports allowing them to actually rebuild or build an aircraft maintenance building. And one of the things was discussed was that maintenance for the aircraft can be anywhere in the United States. And if they so choose, they could have their maintenance and reconstruction of an aircraft elsewhere. And one of the decisions we decided to support is because there are other airlines that also come into Hawaii, their aircrafts, but also to maintain the use of the facility at Hawaiian and Alaska under the jurisdiction right now, that they can use the facility and make sure that the jobs are created and we increased workers on the maintenance facility as well. And so hopefully other airlines have been using the facilities for maintenance of their aircrafts instead of probably doing it in Las Vegas or California, that the opportunity is here in Hawaii. Just to add that, so hopefully things will continue to work out for the aircraft's maintenance program in Hawaii. Anyone else wishes to speak to HB 1688? Hearing none, let's proceed to HB 1691, and this is authorizing supporting documents used to transfer ownership of a motor vehicle to an insurance company after payment of damages from the result of a total loss insurance settlement to be signed electronically. Okay, City and County of Honolulu.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Megan Johnson, Department of Customer Services, City and County of Honolulu. We'll stand on our written testimony in support of this measure. I'm available for questions.
Yes, thank you very much. On Zoom, Copart Inc., Mark Binder.
Aloha and good afternoon. I just wanted, we have written testimony I'd like you to refer to, and to respect your time and to be short, I just want to say that this is a benefit to consumers as well as to the business community. We ask that you respectfully support this bill as described in our testimony with an amendment setting the effective date to July 1st, 2027. This date was requested by one of the counties, and so we're willing to respect that request. Thank you for the time, and I can answer any questions.
And I guess I assume that it was to give them time to get their process going and managing the change.
Yes, that was my understanding, correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Hawai'i
Thank you.
Insurance Council. Thank you, Mike, or Mark. And this is not Mike. Mike Onofredi, Hawai'i Insurance Council. Okay, American Property Casualty Insurance Association in support. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to HB 1691? Okay, let's proceed then to HB 1692, and this is relating to traffic safety. And this requires drivers approaching stationary vehicles displaying warning signals to slow down and make a lane change if possible and safe to do this. And it prohibits the operation of a pickup truck with a passenger seated in the bed or load carrying area on roadways. And for those that did hear this measure prior, like the Senate version did not have the use of the pickup truck into this measure, but this is the House measure, and we'd like to hear from the Attorney General's office. Aloha. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee member. Michael Moriyama, Deputy Attorney General. The department supports this bill, which requires drivers to slow down when approaching a stationary vehicle. But I have to apologize. I have a mistake in my written testimony that was submitted to the committee. HD2 already includes the term vehicular warning signs. So please disregard my recommendation to add that term to HD2. The department does recommend that the duty to slow down be simplified to increase enforceability. The department's recommendation regarding the requirement to change lanes if possible and safe and to stop if necessary on page 2, line 19 through page 3, line 10, is to have HB 1692 HD2 match the language of the companion bill SB 2026
The Senate
SD2.
version.
Senate version, yes.
Okay, but you still stand on your amendment recommendation for
Yes.
the House one too?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. And you had on the 291 C27?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any questions for the Attorney General's office? All right, DOT. DOT on 1692.
The DOT stands on our written testimony in support of this measure, and I'm here for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Keiki Injury Prevention Coalition. Okay, in support, Aloha Independent Living, Hawai'i, AMPO, all in support, AAA, in support, and Chad Taniguchi, an individual. I know he is very, let's see, a member of the Bicycling League, in support. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to HB 1692. Okay. Yes, Senator Elafante.
Question for DOT, please. Yeah. So Deputy Director Lee, so on this, I know HDOT in the past has done PSAs on this. I think a big part of that is also PSAs, but also enforcement. So is this something that DOT can work with HPD and the different county police departments and DLE on enforcement of that? Because I know when you go to other states on the continent, you know, people know what some of those laws are to move over or slow down, but in Hawaii, it's a little different when it comes to situations like this.
Yes, absolutely. So we had our transportation summit a couple of months ago, and we met a group, and I apologize, I can't remember what they were called, but they are very active in this move over law, and yeah, that's definitely something that we can help with, working with our counterparts or our enforcement agencies to enforce.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, but you know, oftentimes though, on the freeway here, if there's the stationary vehicles with the warning signals, it's the contractors that are doing the work on the freeway. And normally, it's when we're driving, and I'm just as a driver like everybody else in this room, when you're heading into downtown and all of a sudden, oh, there's, you know, the lights that's spinning on the vehicle with the warning that that particular lane is closed, but it's oftentimes just last minute. So what do you do in that kind of cases? Because we're saying, you know, we gotta slow down and make a lane change, but you don't make a lane change until you get to the point where you see this vehicle with the lights allowing you or telling you to change. So,
Right.
yeah.
I think the measure, it allows for when it's safe. So I think only when it's feasible for
Okay.
safety.
Okay, so like if there's an accident or something,
Yes.
make a lane change, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Hazard.
Well, I just want to be sure, sometimes we create bills and we really don't understand it, and I'd like to make sure that we all understand what we're passing, you know, to make sure everyone knows that there's a statute requirement, and here I'm so happy though that DOT now has its warning or warning, I would say displays on the freeways, like, you know, certain freeway up somewhere else is blocked or something, and please change, and I think that should continue.
Yes.
But I don't see that too often in many other areas. Like I see it coming down from, let's say, on H1, you know, from Liki coming into town, there's that warning signal that I noticed they put on when you make the change on going to Vineyard. You know, that's to me, I think, just a wonderful sign to know that there's something happening, you know, before that. So I hope that you'll continue, you know, in other areas for alerts. Because sometimes we don't know what's happening in an off-ramp or, you know, another area. Like I noticed recently on Punch Bowl, I think there was one, and it could be on a rainy, crazy day, you know, over the weekend, coming out of Punch Bowl, going on to the freeway, and going, everybody had to turn left on Vineyard. So if you're going up to the tunnel, up on Punch Bowl, it was crazy, because some of the cars were still coming on ramp off Punch Bowl, so that cars were coming down. You couldn't take a right lane going onto the freeway, but you had to make a left on Vineyard. That was kind of scary, but I guess you all did what we had to do because of the weather, I guess.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's good to have some warning signs around.
Okay, thank you.
But that's.
The portable message signs.
Yeah, that's great. Great to have. Good job on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Aloha Independent Living Hawai'i, Leland Brady, in support. AMPO, I think I did call that. Am I going into the right direction? That was 1692. Okay. Okay, yes, all right. Okay, let's go say aloha to 1692 and move to HB 2030. And this is relating to transportation affordability and taxation, DOT.
Good afternoon again, Garrison Kirk, Department of Taxation. We'll stand on our written testimony, Brian comments, and I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, your testimony on this was similarly to the version we heard in the Senate as well. And then if you can help us clear this, because it's kind of like a heavy bill.
Correct.
Okay. And you talked about the different sections, right?
I think, at least on this bill, our big concern was just the allocation of funds, because tax systems are set up to be kind of back end after the fact. So after tax returns are submitted, then you start working on it. And so it makes it very difficult because things don't match up and you have to go through the whole process of trying to figure that out, which can take time and sometimes years depending on what's going on. So yeah, on this bill, we were just asking that it would be a lot easier and simpler and time efficient to make like a lump sum allocation instead of making it based on revenues specifically related to this. So that was our main concern. And then again, on top of that, when people report on their GET, they lump sum everything together and we don't always have a breakout and be able to tell what's related to what. So it makes it difficult to allocate funds specifically related to things and make them deposit, if that makes sense.
Okay, and also asking for an additional time.
Yeah, that
To
was the other thing,
transfer
just-
and get the department to, I guess, create or add a person that just will be dealing with this. It won't be easy, I'm sure.
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and just update the forms and do all that.
Sure.
It seems like it would be simple, but the form process takes a while.
Well, I don't know about
And then-
updating the form. I
Yeah.
think you have to create a form,
Mhm.
right? For specific, this issue.
Yeah, for deposits, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have a new to us at least, where we have to make them all ADA compliant, which is a whole nother process that adds on to all the forms. So it just takes longer than you would think.
Okay, we're almost close to half of the 2026 and you're asking for January 2027, but is that enough time?
It usually is. We usually try to get all the forms prepared, updated, and changed by like September, October in that area. So we've always been able to do it.
Well, if this passes as well. Okay, all right, not easy job. Okay, State Energy Office.
Thank you.
Okay,
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Nicole Chernovsky on behalf of the Hawaii State Energy Office. We stand on our written testimony and support.
thank you very much. On Zoom, Hawaii State Youth Commission.
Aloha, the Hawaii State Youth Commission stands on our written testimony in strong support of this measure. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. City and County of Honolulu. Okay, in support, County of Kauai, in support. Auto Dealers Association. Aloha, Melissa.
Aloha, my name is Melissa Pavlicek. I serve as the Executive Director for the Hawaii Automobile Dealers Association, which represents 71 new car dealers in Hawaii and over 4,000 jobs directly and indirectly in our dealerships. We work closely with the Hawaii State Energy Office, the Department of Transportation, and support the transition to renewable fuels. We respectfully oppose this measure. One of the purposes of this bill is to address rural and low-income costs of transportation. We believe that this bill will actually, because it applies to all Hawaii residents, even those who share one primary vehicle, those one primary vehicles in a family tend to be mid-size or larger or SUVs, which can be more costly. Think, for example, cars such as a Chevrolet Traverse or a Tahoe. These are more expensive vehicles that are not by any stretch of the imagination a luxury vehicle. In addition, the Hawaii small business economy is composed of many small businesses and sole proprietors. They often operate vehicles such as a Toyota Tacoma, construction trades and unionized workforce members, and those who work in jobs that require transporting things often purchase larger vehicles, including SUVs. So these are the people that would be affected most by this funding for the tax relief, or for the credit, the rebate for EVs. Please don't get me wrong. New car dealers sell electric vehicles. We support the transition to electric vehicles. I am often struck when I go to national conferences by how Hawaii has a larger percentage of adoption of EVs than many other states. But still in all, 93% of Hawaii residents purchase and drive internal combustion engine vehicles. We want to support the transition to EVs, but we feel that this will unintentionally hurt those who purchase other vehicles. Thank you.
Okay, well, this was kind of confusing at the beginning if you would look at the bill and understand the unintended consequences. And if all of our islands are so different. I come from an area on the Big Island where we don't have the base like Oahu, because Oahu has the largest EV cars within the state so far. And the consequences are pretty much more on the average middle-class people, low income, and those that use vehicles for fishing and hunting and everything else. But it differs. That's interesting that, when we see the benefits. At one time, matter of fact, it was my bill when EV starting, and my colleague over here, who's in the Senate, was the chair of energy in the House, and I chaired in energy, and we did give relief to EV purchases. I think was $50 or something like that to their registration. We also gave them an opportunity to park at the airport, anyway, free at one time, and it didn't last that long, but all the benefits were there. And not to say that I oppose EV purchasing, but it certainly does not apply to many in our population. Senator Elefante.
Hi, Ms. Pavlicek. Do you have any data from HADA on EV sales in comparison to gas vehicles?
Yes, we produce a quarterly auto outlook, which I'd be glad to share with Chair, and you can distribute it to the committee. We track not just EV sales, but all sales of light-duty vehicles in the state, including by brand. And you'll see some interesting data. And as Chair Inouye pointed out, the islands do have different adoption rates. But one of the reasons for that, when Chair Lee was the transportation chair, we often supported bills to increase and promote infrastructure. So for those who need charging stations, and Oahu is a double-edged sword. We have a high degree of units that are multifamily units and high rises, and it's often difficult for those to find charging at their residence. But I'd be glad to share that, by the end of today.
Okay, thank you, Zara. Very much. Yes, Senator Lee.
Thanks. Thanks. Just looking at your testimony and some of the other testifiers, totally get the affordability argument and concerns there. Obviously, we all live in areas where that's a big deal. But one of the things that's pointed out here is that switching on average, let's say, for your typical driver from typical gas car to EV here in Hawaii, well, actually on Oahu, can save between $4,000 to $5,000 per year for that owner, right? And that's compounded over the life of the vehicle. Let's say you're even just taking it to warranty, so 5 years, it's like $20,000, let's say conservatively. Wouldn't that, from an affordability perspective, have value if even it means there's a few $1,000s more upfront you're paying for a slightly more capable vehicle?
It might just depend on what size of vehicle is available and you need for, what you're purchasing it for. So if there is an EV that a family of 6 can afford that needs to haul things or whatever. I'm not sure if the math is exactly as you said, but I'd definitely be glad to share with you what I see in terms of sales going on now. Yeah.
Sure, and to that, we'll get back to that later, but for the moment, if there were cheaper EVs to begin with in the, let's say, $20,000 to $30,000 range that can fit that kind of use where you're hauling stuff around and, you know, that kind of thing that you're referring to?
Is there actual savings? I mean, I can't exactly speak to that, but
Not that there's savings, but that would be an option that could then be made viable for especially low-income families, where you could not only save money on the front end with a cheaper vehicle that can accommodate things, but then you're saving all that money at another $20,000 for the next 5 years in addition to that.
I guess, Senator, what I would want you to consider, if you would, is funding that then out of the general fund. You know, it's really this double-edged sword of, yes, we want to promote adoption of EVs, but at the expense of certain vehicles. In some of the hearings we had in the House, it was positioned as like on luxury vehicles or unnecessarily expensive vehicles, but these aren't necessarily luxury or, you know, unnecessarily expensive vehicles.
Sure, well, I mean, making those available is like critical, right? I mean, well, how to put in a bill last year that would bar direct sale of those kinds of cheaper vehicles? I'm thinking of like the upcoming slate and or a number of other vehicles in that class that fit that cheaper
We've had
market.
concerns where the dealer and franchise relationship is eroded and manufacturers have a contract with the dealer and then circumvent that contract to sell directly to consumers. We're not opposed to vehicles sold directly to consumers. We're just concerned when there is a dealer-manufacturer relationship in place, that dealers not circumvent that and compete with their own dealers. So that might unintentionally appear that we oppose smaller vehicles or certain less expensive vehicles, but it's really for a reason because of the manufacturer-dealer relationship.
Sure, we can.
Thank you for
love to
introducing
follow
that bill, by the way. So
offline.
I know we should have further discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I have 3 girlfriends in Hilo. And for some reason, and some are, like, we're not part of the same group. One, I'm friend with one, I'm friend with the other one, I'm friend with the other one. And they all bought new vehicles, Lexus, but you know what? They bought the hybrids. Yeah, and they refused to get the pure EVs. And only because the Big Island and its roadways, you go up the hills and down the hills and all over the place throughout the island. But interesting, but they're willing to pay, but that's okay if they can afford it. But it's nice to upgrade a vehicle that, you know, is comfortable for that particular consumer. But yes, there's others that we must take care of as well. Thank you so much for being here, appreciate it. Imua Alliance.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair,
Chris,
and committee
yeah, thank
members.
you.
I'm Chris Caulfield, speaking to you today as president of Imua Alliance. We're in support of this bill. As you all know, transportation is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Hawaii, accounting for nearly half of our statewide emissions. And electric, that makes clean transportation all the more urgent. And we have over 40,000 EVs on our roads right now, but affordability remains a huge concern, especially with the federal changes that have eliminated EV tax credits at the federal level for working families. There was a paper that came out from Harvard University in March of 2025 that showed that the elimination of those credits would reduce vehicle adoption rates nationally by at least 6 to 10% and contribute another $20 million of carbon emissions over baseline projections by 2030. This bill helps fill that gap by creating a state rebate. That matters tremendously for working families, as was just stated. The savings on EVs from traditional gas-powered vehicles can be up to 40% or approximately $5,000 per year. This program has been implemented in other states. It works. In Oregon, it's been in high demand. There's over 42,000 rebates that have been issued in Oregon through the Oregon Clean Vehicle Rebate Program. In California, EV rebate programs are in such high demand that they're often oversubscribed. They can't fulfill the total number of rebates that are in demand. So we think this is a great bill, a climate resilience bill, an affordability bill, and an energy security bill, and we hope that you will move it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Abigail Ramsden. Aloha. Yep, Rivian Automotive. Aloha.
Good afternoon. My name is Abigail Ramsden, Western State Policy Lead for Rivian Automotive. As a manufacturer of electric vehicles and charging infrastructure, Rivian is pleased to support this bill. A clean vehicle rebate program is a proven policy that can catalyze clean transportation and support consumers without burdening the state budget. The state has identified vehicle fuel use as a financial and environmental burden. This program would take an important step forward, facilitating the state's transition to clean vehicles and lowering the cost of living for Hawaii residents. As a manufacturer actively selling and servicing vehicles in Hawaii, Rivian urges the legislature to continue moving this important legislation. Based on our experience in other states, this program, offered directly to consumers with few administrative burdens, can successfully drive electric vehicle adoption. This summer, Rivian will release a mid-size SUV that can go up and down hills, and it would qualify for this program as written. We want to facilitate electric vehicle adoption broadly and across brands. Hawaii is in a position to lead other states and the nation in electrification and a just clean energy transition. We respectfully urge your support. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah, happy to answer questions.
Welcome. I've never heard of Rivian here.
Oh.
Okay, so who do you sell your cars to? You said you will be releasing, so you create vehicles
Yes.
on another brand or something?
This is our logo.
Okay.
And we sell the cars with the kind of the googly eyes. They're around.
They're around.
Oh,
They're around.
okay. Googly eyes?
They're actually really
They
nice.
do. They do. have googly eyes.
Okay, I gotta go look for a googly eye car
Once
then.
you see it, you will know exactly what I'm saying. It looks like this.
Oh, where? In
It's
the
kind of
front?
friendly.
At
in
the
front.
lights?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a bar that lights up at night and then two oval, like,
You know, I may
Googly
have
eyes.
seen something and I
Yeah.
thought, what is this? Anyway, so,
Yes.
okay, wait
So
now.
we're a new brand.
Yes, but do you have a business here and what name is it?
so our business is Rivian.
Here in Honolulu?
We have a service center in Oahu.
But
It's
you
on
also
Dillingham.
have- Okay, but you also have so you're like Cutter Ford and Nissan, so where are you?
So we are a California-based company.
Okay.
We manufacture our vehicles in Illinois.
Okay.
We sell in the United States.
Okay, and you build in Illinois under
Yes.
what brand?
Rivian.
Okay, not a Ford, not a Chevrolet.
No.
Okay, not a Lexus. And it's Rivian.
Yeah,
Okay,
all the time.
okay. We gotta go take a tour to your facility then.
And just for purpose of Hawaii residents,
Okay.
they're off-road vehicles. We have a truck and an SUV. They're
You do
large.
have a truck?
Yeah, they're larger
But
vehicles.
it's EV or you
It
have
is
hybrids?
only EV. That is all that we
Okay,
make.
sorry, my Hilo people
That's
won't be
okay.
able to afford the
Well,
truck.
we have a new one coming out that will be between $45,000 and $60,000, putting it in
But
line.
it's an EV, not a hybrid.
It is an EV.
Okay.
Yes, but it
Okay.
has a range of up to 350 miles. It's a really capable vehicle. It can go off-roading. It can go through really high water because it doesn't have an engine intake. It's a great vehicle for Hawaii.
Okay.
We'd love to see more of them here.
Look for the Google Eyes. Okay, Senator Alafante.
I have a quick follow-up. So I know you mentioned in your testimony that you've worked in other states, you're based in California.
Yes.
Is there a similar program in the state of California that does something like this?
There is.
Okay, and
Yes.
is it very similar to this, or did they have to restructure some of their programs and how they give out rebates?
Well, it's called Clean Cars for All, and it is a low and middle income electric vehicle sales rebate that is scaled based on your income. So you substantiate your income, and then you receive a voucher from the state to bring to
So the state
a dealer
funds,
or
the
a
state funds the
manufacturer.
program?
The state funds the program.
So it's not from taxing higher
No.
vehicle gas or diesel
But
use?
as
So
a
it's
result,
much different than
I go to
this.
the legislature every year trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to refund this program. What the state has is the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which was created a number of years ago and is intended to take monies gathered through a cap and trade program that is intended to try to bring emissions down across industrial and vehicle sectors. It takes some of that funding and puts it towards programs like this because they have a proven
Right.
carbon reduction, which is what the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund requires.
Okay, so slightly different than
Slightly
this,
different.
this model.
Something like this that funds itself.
Right.
And, could potentially have a market effect and encourage people to not only take advantage of a rebate, but look at electric vehicles as a plausible option for them, has been shown in other states like the other testifier pointed out, it really does move markets and encourage customers to overcome their reluctance to take
Okay.
an electric
Thank you,
vehicle.
Abigail.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And sorry, folks. I'm supposed to go see your car this afternoon
I know,
at
it's
5.
downstairs.
Okay,
You're gonna see the
now
googly
I'm
eyes.
thinking, why is this familiar?
Yes.
And I see your hostess over there, and I said, oh, that's the car I'm going to see. Am I seeing a vehicle, an SUV or a truck or
You're
what?
going to see a red truck.
Where is it parked?
It's downstairs.
Okay, you guys, anybody downstairs?
Anyone wants to come down and
No,
see the truck?
Downstairs on the parking garage or by the flagpole?
Underground.
Okay, underground, red color?
Red.
Red color,
the
okay,
googly
and
eyes.
what's the license plate? Just the last numbers.
It's an Illinois license plate because it's a
Okay,
dealer
so
car.
Illinois, well, you guys wanna see that car? Okay, anyway.
I'll park by the circle and people can come by.
Okay, another question.
Yes.
You're saying you're gonna release a mid-size SUV?
Yes.
Is that, it's an SUV mid-size, so my SUV, thinking about mid-size, is a Nissan Rogue.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Similar size.
Similar size.
Okay, I'm looking at buying a new SUV, but I don't like small cars because I golf and I like to go holo to the other side of the island. So
I have an 80-pound dog.
I like
I'm planning to get
bigger
it myself.
SUVs.
Yeah.
Okay,
When you
everybody.
get downstairs, you gotta take
Okay.
it for a test drive.
Okay,
It
test
makes-
drive,
it makes
okay, you
bird
guys go
noises.
downstairs and look at this car. Okay, all right, and sorry, I was thinking about why is Rivian familiar? Okay, let's go, okay, your money, okay, Tax Foundation. Tax Foundation of
Not present
Hawaii,
on Zoom,
Tom?
Chair.
Okay, I think he was tired, it's after 4:30. Okay, Climate Future Forum. Sorry, we took so long, are you still with us? Thank you, Sophia.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Sophia, and I serve as a youth leader of Climate Future Forum, a nonprofit organization dedicated to amplifying youth voices in the legislature to support climate policies. Through several mechanisms, HB 2030 protects and serves families who, without the rebate, likely could not afford an electric vehicle. These are residents who want to participate in the decarbonization of transportation and or experience the great financial benefits of switching to an EV, such as the reduction of typical fuel and maintenance costs that they would face with a gas powered vehicle, which Senator Lee was describing earlier, I believe. CFF is not solely concerned with addressing climate change, but also making sure that the transition to a more sustainable future for our state is equitable. This is why we support HB 2030. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and on behalf of the Youth of Climate Future Forum, we respectfully urge the committee to pass this bill.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to HB 2030? We got Alliance for Automotive Innovation. Tiffany?
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Tiffany Yajima on behalf of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation represents 99% of the automobile manufacturers who are part of the dealer manufacturer network. We are concerned with this bill. This bill is designed as a fee bait, which penalizes the purchasers of gas vehicles and diesel vehicles in order to subsidize the purchasers of electric vehicles. No state has passed a fee bait. In fact, multiple states, including California 3 times, has rejected a fee bait since 2009. The countries that did have a fee bait have since repealed them. So if Hawaii were to pass this bill, we would be standing alone in adopting a failed model. Fee bait policies can worsen the vehicle affordability crisis, raising costs for families and who are already facing record high car prices, elevated gas prices, and limited charging access. Working families and small businesses that rely on trucks, vans, and SUVs would face new fees, effectively taxing essential workers for the vehicles that they drive. We'd ask you to defer this measure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. HTA, Hawaii Transportation Association, Tina?
Aloha, I'm here. I don't know what's going on with my video right now.
IT, can you, can you take off the other testifier? Okay, there we go, Tina.
So we respectfully oppose this bill for a number of reasons. A lot of people don't realize, but transportation companies do use light vehicles. And it's very expensive to transition over because the infrastructure is not there. And putting in chargers is not as simple. A lot of places don't have the electrical pull, so we would have to put in new transformers, and that's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars that we just don't have. And if we do it, it is going to be passed on to our customers, which are the retailers, and the retailers will be then passing it on to the customers, which are the consumers. So we are very concerned about this bill. It does have an impact on all of us, and we get it that we all want to be more green, but we believe that the focus should start on infrastructure here in Hawaii first. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Hawaii Youth Transportation Council. IT? Okay.
Aloha, I apologize. Prompt came up to ask me to start my camera, so I did. So aloha, my name is Luca Kinaberti. I'm the Aloha Chair, Nui, Vice Chair Elefante, committee members. I want to say big mahalo for Senator Lee for really standing behind electric vehicles during this committee meeting. My name is Luca Kinaberti, a North Shore Oahu resident and high school senior, as well as the HYTC's Policy and Legislation Chair, testifying on behalf of them in strong support of HB 2030, or the Clean Vehicle Rebate Program. This bill will allow every Hawaii resident to be able to afford electric vehicles. While the Youth Council would prefer people use public transportation, the reality is that according to the 2020 census, 13.9% of Hawaii residents live in rural areas that public transit may not reach, or they have a line of work that was talked about before that requires the use of heavy-duty vehicles. These residents need a renewable and affordable vehicle option. That is what this bill would allow. Electric vehicles are a primary point in bringing down our greenhouse emissions and the fight against climate change, something that has been more than apparent in our state in the last few weeks, and particularly in my community. I was off
Thank you,
island during
Luca.
this week.
Luca, times are off.
Yeah?
I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Thanks
a paid lobbyist.
Oh, thank you. Testifying for the Institute of Transportation Studies, University of California, Davis.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and Senator Lee. My name is Dr. Aditya Ramji. I'm from the Institute of Transportation Studies. At the outset, we support the bill and stand by written testimony. I would like to also offer some factual corrections on the information that has been provided to you today. The state of California that has been used as an example, just to highlight that the reason the state of California does not have a tax on gas cars is because the state of California has, by law, a mandate for every automobile manufacturer to sell an increasing number of EVs every year in the state of California. That makes sure that auto manufacturers have to internally adjust for their investments and pricing. If you do not have a mandate, the alternative would have been the fee. And on the other hand, the state of California continues to provide rebate programs that are very similar to the design that has been presented in this bill. And so in that same vein, as far as Hawaii is concerned, we've been looking at Hawaii data. 70% of Hawaii's new gas cars have a fuel efficiency of less than 30 miles per gallon and are actually costing more than 20% above more efficient gas cars themselves. And so and the second fact is that the bill actually does not impose a penalty on all households buying gas cars. It only imposes the bill on about 40% of new gas car buyers. So just to make sure that you have that information.
Your times is up, but I have one question for you.
Yes.
California does not have a special fund. It's coming out of the general fund to offer a rebate to customers. Am I correct?
The gender fund is drawing from the cap and trade program that was highlighted by Abigail from Rivian. That is a tax, and that is a carbon tax that is imposed in the state. We just are imposing that across the economy, and we collect that money and fund the rebate program. In this case, it is much more targeted. It is just taking from more polluting gas cars and redistributing that to new EVs. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Okay, Earth Justice. Thanks for bearing with us, Isaac.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, we're going to try to speed this up because I understand I need to get out of here. We need to get out of here by 5, so
Okay,
we'll try to hurry up.
Okay, thank
All
you,
right.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Stand on our written testimony in strong support. We appreciate the support and collaboration of Hawaii Department of Transportation, who I believe have also submitted testimony. We have proposed amendments, and we're united on that. So yeah, gas cars are an affordability crisis, and this gas prices right now is just the latest reminder. This is a self-funding, revenue-neutral solution to open up cleaner and cheaper options. This bill is all about affordability in its title and every single provision, right? Now, I don't know if I'm going to have as much time as the auto dealers to respond to some of their points, but responding to Hada, this is the way we help lower income customers. And in terms of auto innovators, let's innovate, right? And really, there was a lot of misinformation in their testimony. Especially in a major state budget crisis, this self-funded program is really the solution to move us forward, and it's an investment in the present and the future. Available for any questions. And Dr. Aditya Ranji is also available too. He's really an encyclopedia of knowledge, and he's helped put together these numbers, which, by the way, we can customize the numbers however we want. But I think, as Chair Keelan said in the House side, everyone can complain, but let's focus on solutions. So we urge the committee to pass this bill through so we can talk about solutions. Mahalo.
Thank you, Isaac.
Quick question for Isaac.
Question.
So I appreciate your hard work. I think it's a creative way of looking at how do you get more people to use EV. But I know California is a little different than this. So was that ever explored or looked at to see what they do in California across the board and that proposal rather than something like this per se?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So actually, the rebate side of this program very much patterns after California, very much also mirrors the former federal tax credit. So yeah, this is kind of best practice in many, many states, and Hawaii is kind of lagging in that regard. Now, with regards to the funding mechanism, as Dr. Ranji explained, in California, they have a mandate, right? And so if you want to go the mandate route, I know we don't want to ban cars or whatever, tell people they can't buy their gas cars. But other than that, our options to really drive this forward, you can count on a couple of fingers, right? Are you going to mandate it? You're going to ban? Or are you going to give sort of that market-based nudge or that incentive? Not saying you cannot buy your expensive gas car. If you want that, certainly it's possible.
Yeah, okay.
But for more expensive options, why don't you help lower income people save money on gas?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. Okay, IT, thanks.
Okay.
IT, we have several on Zoom. I'm going to hurry this up. Let's see, is Charlotte Maiden there on Zoom?
Aloha. Hello. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Charlotte Maiden. I live in Kailua and I'm a junior at University Laboratory School. I am testifying in strong support of HB 2030-HD2, which establishes Hawaii's Clean Vehicle Rebate Program. Transportation is the largest source of pollution in Hawaii, accounting for more than half of our statewide emissions. And our state spends billions each year importing gasoline and diesel, hurting our local economy and contributing to climate change and public health harms. This bill creates a revenue-neutral rebate program to lower the upfront cost of new and used electric vehicles for Hawaii residents, letting more of our community.
Can you kind of summarize, because I need to cut we got 3 more waiting at Zoom, and time is not in our favor today. So,
Okay.
But we appreciate your testimony.
Okay. This
All
bill
right.
ensures that working families, not just the wealthy, can enjoy the financial and health benefits of EVs. Mahalo
Okay,
for the
I
opportunity
thank you.
to testify.
Yeah, I thank you very much. All right, Noel Morin, if you can summarize, we're gonna cut back the 1 minute to at least a half a minute, but
Yes, can you hear me okay?
if you support or oppose, and if you support, we've heard many testifiers already, and you may have heard them as well. So if you can summarize, please.
Yeah, can you see me and hear me?
We can see you, yes, thank you
Okay,
very much.
yes. Aloha, Noel Morin. I live in Hilo on the board of Hawaii EV, and I've driven electric since 2011. I am in strong support of this measure, and I stand by the testimony that I've submitted. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, no. Okay, Mia Nishiguchi.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Did she say not also?
Not on Zoom.
Not on Zoom. Okay, Nicholas Nishimura.
Not present as well.
Okay, Ron Riley.
Yeah,
Okay,
can you
that's
hear me?
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
Can you
thank
put your
you.
video on?
I'm from Volcano Village on Hawaii Island, and I
Can
just
you,
summarized.
What was his name? Ron, is
Yeah,
that you,
here I
Ron?
am.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right, there we go. If you
Yeah.
can summarize, please,
Yeah.
we need to get going with making, doing
Right.
our votes, and we got 2 more bills before us. I have to hurry. Are you in support
Okay.
or opposed?
I'm a supporter of the bill, and I'd just like to mention the co-benefits of reduced air pollution and reduced medical costs, and those accrue to all Hawaii residents, especially youth in Kapuna, who live close by to the pollution from our transportation corridors. Thank you. Mahalo nui.
Okay. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who has been on this list that wishes to testify? Thank you.
Yes, I am. My
Okay.
name
we
is
have
Ruth
Ruth Robinson.
Robinson.
And who
Thank
is
you.
this?
Ruth Robinson. I live in Hilo. I'm in Chair Inoi's district.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I bought a used electric vehicle from the Kia dealer in Hilo in 2022. Without a subsidy because I can afford it. And I want more Hawaii residents to be able to afford their own electric vehicles. I strongly support this bill because it will increase access to EVs and help meet Hawaii's climate and energy goals. And of course, as we all know, the federal government is no longer helping us with rebates for EVs.
Okay.
But she wasn't.
The bill's focus on equity is especially important. Electric vehicles can significantly reduce transportation costs. The HB 2030 HD2 is a practical, balanced, and inclusive policy solution.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being on Zoom, and wish you well as well. Thank you so much. All right.
Mahalo.
Okay. All right. Okay. And this is who now?
Duration, Our Children's Trust.
Okay. Proceed.
I'll be quick. We are in strong support. We support Earth Justice and HDOS amendments. We want to really emphasize that this is going to reduce the upfront cost, which is the main barrier for households in Hawaii to access the inherent savings of driving electric. I want to bring up one point that has not been brought up at all, which is the resilience aspect of driving EVs with all the disasters we've been facing. One thing to note is that there's a new technology called bidirectional charging with new EVs, including Rivian's. The Ford F-150 Lightning, for example, can charge an owner's home for several days in a power outage. So there are many other benefits to EVs that have not been discussed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to end testimonies on HB 2030. Let's move on to resolutions, SCR 31 and SR 27. And this is requesting DOT in coordination with DOE to evaluate, recommend improvements to the licensing, training, and workforce pipeline for school bus drivers in the state. And that's and this also is with regards to SR 27. So SCR 31 testimony includes SR 27 as well. DOT.
DOT supports this measure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. DOE. Okay, all right, in comments, in support, and we also have, and that goes for the SR 27 for both as well. All right, we do have testimonies in from County of Hawai'i, Mayor Alameda, and Hawaii County Council Chair Inaba, Sitting County of Honolulu, as well as Kauai County, and all those that we appreciate the testimonies that we've received as well. So we'll move along to, is there anyone else wishes to speak to SCR 31 and SR 27 here in the room? Okay, let's proceed with SCR 147 and SR 131, I'm sorry, SCR 145 and SR 137. And this is requesting the Department of Transportation to convene a task force to evaluate whether the state should implement a demerit point system for traffic violations. And this will Then DOT.
DOT supports this measure.
Okay, thanks so much. Seating County of Honolulu in support, and as well as Johnny Perry and Cora Yamamoto testifying in both resolutions. All right, is there anyone else wishes to speak to SCR 145 and SR 137? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, let's proceed then. IT, we're going to go into immediate decision-making at this point. 1 second. I do want to add that with regards, there were some questions for DOE on the last or the first resolutions that we've heard. However, the chair will send this information on the benefit to schools as well. So we'll send them a note since they're not here in person. All right? Okay. Okay. Just give me the, I need to go by bill numbers. Okay, is that all? That's coming? Okay, all right. Okay, let's proceed with decision-making on the Transportation Committee agenda, HB 1524 and House 1524 House Draft 2. And this is relating to pedestrians. This had to do with the cost for jaywalking and hearing testifiers today as well. I was going to increase from $25 to $50, but I think the chair understands that once we do a figure, it goes to another committee. Chair's recommendation that we'll be passing this measure as is. Any discussions? Hearing, yes.
Madam Chair, I have some concerns as I feel the fee is a little too low, but I understand the situation of that. I think more enforcement and education is needed in this space, but I understand we also don't want to penalize those that violate this section. But seeing DOT's testimony, I have significant concerns when we do have to lower the rate. So with that, I'll be voting with reservations.
Okay, my recommendation was to increase it to $50. I just want further discussions on it. How do you feel? Okay.
I'd like to make it $1, so
Oh, okay.
maybe that
that's on
balances
the-
out.
Okay, okay. $25, $50. The bill calls for $25, so, okay. Chair got to make a decision. Okay, chair's recommendation is to pass this measure as is and let judiciary also deliberate on this measure. I don't see no technicals. All right, Vice Chair for the vote on this as is.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass House Bill 1524, House Draft 2, unamended. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye with reservation. Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator DeCourt.
No.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. HB 1688, and this is the GE tax exemption for aircraft maintenance. Chair's recommendation is to pass with the amendments, and this has to do with the Department of Taxation's recommendation that be amended to January 1st, 2027. It's allowing sufficient time for the work before them. So Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 1688, House Draft 1 with amendments. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 1688, House Draft 1 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes or reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. HB 1691 relating to transportation. Chair's recommendation on this measure, and I thank all of those in the insurance industry as well for supporting this measure. We'll pass this with the amendments to allow for effective date for the time of July 1st, 2027, so that the counties have sufficient times to prepare for implementation. So Vice Chair for the vote, HB 1691 to pass with amendments.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass HB 1691, House Draft 2
Chair goes aye.
with amendments. Of the 5 members present, any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, HB 1692, House Draft 2, relating to traffic safety. Chair's recommendation on this measure is to pass with the amendments recommended by the Attorney General, and this is to amend the sections of 291C-27A of the statutes on page 2, line 8 through page 3, line 10. There is technical and non-substantive amendments should be recognized, and that's the recommendation. Any discussions? Hearing none. Vice Chair for the vote, HB 1692, House Draft 2 with amendments.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass HB 1692, House Draft 2 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, HB 2030, House Draft 2. Unfortunately, the chair is going to recommend that we defer this measure as well. We understand that a rebate program or any other area of some assistance is pretty much probably needs to be addressed. And the Senate version has died in Ways and Means, and I think that the Ways and Means Committee is not in the mood, at least for now, to do this, establishing a rebate program, and of course, to create a special fund. So we'll be deferring HB 2030, and let's work on something next year. We'll be happy to see how we can come up with a solution that I don't want to do something that the other states are doing, and it's been faltering there as well, unfortunately. So let's come up with something great that we all can support. SCR 31 and SR 27. Chair's recommendation is to pass this measure as is. Any discussion? Hearing none. Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Chair's recommendations to pass SCR 31 and SR 27 unamended of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, SCR 145 and SR 137. Chair's recommendation as well is to pass this measure as is. Any discussions? Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Chair's recommendations to pass SCR 145 and SR 137 unamended of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you, folks, and we did it. Okay. All right. This concludes the Committee on Transportation agenda for Tuesday.